Welcome to DawnsBodyShop.com. Today we'll be doing the beginner Pilates mat exercises. Take your time as you progress through these exercises and do what feels right to your body. So if you feel pain while doing any of these exercises, you want to stop. I'll give you a few different modifications that you can try. If you feel pain in your neck, with your head lifted up, leave your head down. You have the option of using a yoga block, a pillow. You can put a book underneath your head. So just kind of using a prop to give your neck a little bit of support. If you're tight and you're bringing your head back, you don't want to jam up the bones in the back of your neck, so you just put a pillow underneath your head or a book, and that will kind of give you a little bit of lift and help keep your neck in a neutral position. Always check with your physician before starting an exercise program. And so we're going to start right on your back. So we're going to do a little bit of prep work just to kind of get used to how to pull your abdominals in, how to breathe for the Pilates exercises. So if you lay on your back with your legs bent and your feet flat onto the mat, and I want you to think about your abdominals. So what I want you to think about is just kind of trying to tighten your abdominals. And it's kind of like if you were going to like pat yourself on the belly, you naturally tighten your abdominals. So it's almost like you're trying to take your belly button and pull it towards your spine, and also lifting at the same time. And if that doesn't make sense to you to start, just really focus on trying to tighten your abdominal muscles and work towards being able to progress towards getting a deeper connection to your abdominals. So keeping your abdominals pulled tight, let's put your hands on your hips. And I want you to kind of just rock your hips forwards and backwards. You're kind of tucking your tail off of the mat, tucking your tail into the mat. So it's just a nice little rock through your hips, kind of loosening up your back. And I want you to think about your sacrum, which is the triangle-shaped bone on the back side of your hips. I want you to see if you can get that bone to lay flat on the mat. So all 3 points of the triangle are on the mat. So your hips are nice and level. So we're going to call that your neutral hip position. So you've got your abdominals pulled in, and we've got your neutral hip position. So now trying to maintain that and thinking about your Pilates breath. So your Pilates breath comes from your side ribs because we want to keep your abdominals pulled in. So your breath, you inhale wide through your side ribs, and then exhale, wrap in through your center. So you inhale wide, and exhale, wrap in through your center. And if the breath doesn't make sense to you, or you just can't really find it at the moment, don't worry about it. It'll come to you with time, so just keep practicing. If you feel like you need a rest as we go through these exercises, even just practicing the breath can be work. So you can always go back to just breathing or giving your legs a hug in and taking a rest. So keeping all of that, and then just kind of watching that you're not shrugging your shoulders up. You're trying to keep your shoulders kind of wide, shoulder blades down your back. And remember, if you need to put something underneath your head, with your head down, you can. So if you feel like you're kind of tipping your head back because you're tight, put a yoga block, a book, something underneath your head as a prop. If you tend to get dizzy laying flat, you can also try to put something underneath your head as a prop, and be careful that you don't wind up getting dizzy. So going into a little bit more prep work here, place your hands on your hips, and we're just going to start with teeny tiny little marches. So you're going to lift one foot up and put that foot down, and then just small, lift the other foot up and put that foot down. So you're lifting your foot off of the mat just about an inch and put that foot down. And the challenge is doing this without letting your hips move. So just by doing this exercise, you should feel your deep abdominal muscles kind of firing to try to support your body and keeping those hips from wobbling side to side. So trying to keep what you have here, a progression would be lifting one leg up to a tabletop position, which is 90 degrees at your knee, 90 degrees at your hips, and then placing that foot down. We'll try that to the other side, lifting up to your tabletop position, and then putting that foot down. Still being mindful of your upper body. Watch that you're not scrunching your shoulders, scrunching your neck. Once you have what you're doing, try to hold your head in a neutral position. So you're trying to keep yourself centered. Your nose is in line with your sternum. You feel like you're lengthening from the top of your head to your tail. Okay, so now progressing on to that, you can leave one leg in the air and try to switch legs simultaneously. So like little taps with your feet. So remember, these exercises are something you can come back to if you feel like what we're doing is becoming too much for you. Or you can always give your legs a hug in towards your chest and give yourself a rest. So let's do that now. We'll bring your legs in and just take a breath, little rock side to side, whatever feels good to you. So going into the Pilates exercises, we're going to start with an exercise called the 100s. So it's 100s because it's 100 counts. If you need to start with doing half or less, that's fine, and just work your way up to being able to do the full 100. You can leave your feet and your head down if you need to. Otherwise, lift your forehead up towards your knees and lengthen your arms by your sides. You want to slide your legs to a tabletop position if that's available, and then vigorously pump your arms up and down. So we're going to inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Long, strong, vigorous pumping arms. Think you're pumping oxygen into your lungs, and then exhale, press out every little bit of air. Inhale, and exhale. So we're about halfway through. One more breath, inhale. And exhale, very good. Hug your legs in. And you can turn your head side to side. So you just turn ear to ear onto the mat, kind of loosening up your neck. And we'll place your feet flat onto the mat. And then slide your feet a little bit further away from you than your knees. We're going to go into a half roll-up exercise. So if you bring your arms up to the ceiling, and then see if you can lift your head to look through your arms and peel up, reach towards your knees. And then slow, lower back and down. So now if you need to do just pressing your arms by your sides and not doing the peel up, that's fine. You can still leave your head down. And remember, you have the options of going back towards those taps. So go ahead, exhale, chin to your chest, feeling up, and lower back and down. And just do as many of these as you can with me. Let's see if we can get 3 more. Feeling up. You want to make sure you're coming up with control. So for the Pilates exercises, I like to envision if you were in water, you wouldn't make big splashes. You would just make small ripples in the water. So if it's available, we're going to lower down, bring your legs into you. And you're going to keep your right leg and place your left foot down onto the mat. So going into single leg circles, you could bring your left leg straight out onto the mat if that feels okay to you. But if you need to modify, just bend your left leg so your left foot's flat onto the mat. So I'll keep that variation for you today. But if you feel like it's available to you, your left leg goes straight out onto the mat. So your right leg goes directly up to the ceiling and your arms go by your sides. And also if your left leg is straight out, that foot is flexed. So all 10 toes point to the ceiling. So with your right leg, I want you to bring your right leg over the same distance as your left shoulder. And then you're going to bring your leg around so your legs just brush past one another. You go off to the right just as much as you went to the left and pause at the top. So it's a small circle across your body, around, and pause at the top. You're trying to keep those hips pretty steady on the mat. And we'll go for 2 more. And last one. And we'll reverse. So let's take your leg out to the right side, down across the left side as wide as that left shoulder, pause at the top. So you circle to the right, across to the left, and up. Out, around, and up. Let's try 2 more. So we'll take that right leg into you and place it down onto the mat. Bring your left leg in and let's just give that leg a little hug for a second. Remember, you have the option of bringing your right leg out with the flexed foot or keeping your right leg bent. So left leg directly up to the ceiling. So we'll start circling over to the right. So you circle across to your right shoulder, around, pause at the top. Across to the right shoulder, around, pause at the top. And really just keep those abdominals drawn in. We'll go for 2 more. Watch you're not scrunching your shoulders up. So let's reverse that. You circle out to the left side, around across your right side, and pause at the top. Out to the left, around and up. Out, around, and up. Let's go for 2, trying to keep your hips as steady as you can. Very good. So we'll bring that leg into you, and we'll bring the other leg in to meet it. So if you have to turn onto your side and press yourself up, that's fine. Otherwise, let's see if you can rock up to a seated position. So we're going to start here with your legs bent and your feet flat onto the mat. And you can have your feet about as wide as your hips. Take your hands behind your thighs and just scoop and curl your hips back towards the mat. And let's see if you can stay round and come right back up. So trying to keep a round shape to your back. We call this a C curve. So I want you to think about how you're drawing your abdominals in to move almost like there's a string tied around your belly button, and that pulls you back towards the mat. And make sure you can keep your feet down for this one. So we're going to go for 2 more. And last one. All right, so now you can stay with this if you need to, or making this exercise into an exercise called rolling like a ball. You're going to place your feet together and draw them towards you. See if you can lift your feet off of the mat and just hold a balanced position. Be careful that there's nothing around that you can accidentally kick. So like this table, for instance, you wouldn't want to kick into it. So you can slide back a little bit if you feel like there's something a little too close to you. Make sure there's nothing behind you that you can rock into either. So you want to stay nice and round and just holding your balanced position, trying to stay nice and C-curved with your back. Now, if you want to add on to that, you add a small rock back. So you keep your chin in, keep looking in towards your belly button, and rock back and rock up. Being careful not to throw your legs. So you want to keep your heels tucked towards your backside, chin in, rock back, and rock up. For more of a challenge, you can slide your hands to your shins. So just stay nice and round. So you want to be the ball, rock back, and rock up. Let's try 1 more, being careful not to throw your head back. Rock back and rock up. Very good. So place your feet down onto the mat. You can hold behind your thighs and help yourself down, or turn onto your side and lower yourself onto the mat. Either way land on your mat and hug your legs in towards your chest. So we're going to go through ab series. There's 5 exercises in ab series. You can start off with just the first 2. This is a great place to supplement in with the taps that we had done earlier, or the little marching legs if you need another option. So remembering that pillow if you need it. So this is a good time to have a prop underneath your head if you're tight, you get dizzy, or if you feel pain in your neck, laying flat on your back. You can also leave your head down flat, so you can just stay flat if you feel pain in your neck with your head lifted. So lifting your forehead towards your knees if that's available to you. And I want you to take both hands to your right leg, and your left leg goes out on a high diagonal. And then go ahead and switch sides. So you want to have a little bit of an angle to that leg. The lower the leg, the more challenging this will be. So I wouldn't go lower than 45 degrees or your knee lining up with your foot. You want to use your breath. So inhale, switch. Exhale, bring your leg in. Inhale, switch. Exhale, bring your leg in. Let's do one more to each side. And then we'll bring your legs in and take a rest. So if your head is up, you can place your head down. You can do a little rock side to side, ear to ear. So going into double leg stretch. So you would lift your forehead to your knees if that feels okay to you. Your arms are going to go by your sides to start, and I want your legs to go on a high diagonal. And then give your legs a hug in towards you. Try that again. Inhale, reach. And exhale, pull in. For a little bit more of a challenge, you can reach your arms so you can still see them, and then circle your arms around to hug your legs. Looking in towards your abdominals to make sure that they don't pop out. Remember, the lower your legs, the more challenging, but I wouldn't go lower than 45 degrees. Make sure you don't pop your abdominals because you're trying to go too low with your legs. And see if you can get 2 more. Inhale, exhale in. Last one, inhale. And exhale in. Very good. Rest your head. Little turn side to side. All right, so for scissors, if it's available, we'll lift your forehead towards your knees. Straight leg, straight up to the ceiling. Hands are going to go around one leg, not behind your knees out, and a gentle pull. The opposite leg lowers as much as that leg comes into you. And then switch sides. So gentle, in, and switch sides. Inner thighs brush together. And you're reaching up as high as you can on your leg. So if you can reach up towards your ankle, great. If you need to hold behind your thigh, that's fine. You never want to pull on your knee. You've got a lot going on in there, so you don't want to yank on your knee. You can bend your knees if you need to. This exercise is a lot like the taps we had done earlier, so remember, you can always go back. So give those legs a hug and take a rest. Little rock side to side. So that's the 3rd exercise out of the ab series. We have 2 more exercises. Remember, take your time as you progress getting into these exercises. So for lower lift, if you're leaving your head down, you can bring your arms by your sides or even tuck them underneath your hips for a little bit more low back support. If it feels okay, you want one hand over the other. So you don't want to interlace because you're going to pulling with your hands. So no holding hands in Pilates. It's always one hand over the other. So we're going to take your hands behind your head and lift your forehead towards your knees. Look at those abdominals. Make sure they're pulled flat and bring your legs up to the ceiling. You want a little turn out so your heels are together, your toes are apart, and you're going to reach your legs to that low diagonal. And then lift your legs up. You can bend your knees if you need a little bit of a modification. Good. You can inhale to lower, exhale to lift, And if you want to go lower for the challenge, you can. I just wouldn't pass that 45-degree line. And we'll do that 2 more times. And bring your legs in and take a rest. Very good. If you wanted to hug your legs ear to ear. So last but not least is crisscross. Crisscross, if you want to do just the legs or just the upper body, that's fine. Going into full crisscross, it's that same one hand over the other behind your head. Head, neck, and shoulders lift up as high as you can. And you want to just be able to see your arms. Bring one leg straight out onto that high diagonal and see if you can bring your opposite underarm towards your bent knee. Stay lifted as you pass through center, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Try to keep your legs touching as you switch, so your inner thighs brush together, and switch sides. So you want to be mindful that your hips aren't rocking side to side. You're trying to maintain your lift as best as you can. So these are challenging. Do what you can. And let's come back to center. Hug your legs in and take a breath. So rocking up to that seated position. Remember, if you need to turn onto your side, that's fine. So going into spine stretch forward. For spine stretch forwards, if you need to sit on like a yoga block, you can sit on some books, just to give yourself a little prop up if it's uncomfortable sitting with your legs straight out. You can bend your knees if you need to. Otherwise, your legs are straight out onto the mat. You want your feet flexed, and you're going to sit with your ears, your shoulders, and your sit bones in a straight line, almost like if your back were against a wall. Bring your arms straight out in front of you. And I want you to think, just inhale, sit up as tall as you can, and then stay here. Exhale, and push your arms almost like you're pushing down into a table. Let's try that again. Inhale tall, but this time I want you to exhale, curl your chin to your chest, and round forwards like you're trying to bring the top of your head to the mat between your knees. And then inhale, sit tall. So you would stack your spine against that imaginary wall behind you. And then exhale, peel away from the wall. So head, shoulders, ribs, your low back would stay against that imaginary wall. Inhale to sit tall. And exhale, round forward. So this should feel like a nice stretch to your back. Let's try that one more time. Exhale and round. Inhale, out tall. Very good. So we're going to turn onto your belly, and we'll do a little bit of low back extension work. So you're just going to lay in, we call it a prone position, so face down, and you let your head rest onto your hands. If it's uncomfortable to have your arms like this, you can just leave your arms by your side or find something that works for you. So you want your legs as close together as your hips allow. If you need to space your feet out, if you feel your low back with this exercise, that's fine. If you need to go into a rest pose, take your time and just kind of work with your body. So your forehead's resting onto your hands. I want you to think about pulling your belly button up in towards your spine. So you're really trying to lift the abdominal muscles off of the mat while keeping your hips, all 3 points of the triangle of your hips, pressed down into the mat. And this might be work for you, so you could stick with that. Adding on, you're going to lift your forehead off of your hands and then lower down. So see if you can lift your head and chest almost like you're trying to pull your sternum towards your hands and then lower down. Adding on, lift your hands off of the mat so your arms come up and lower down. So hands, head, and chest lift and lower. So this hand position is nice because it shows you where straight is for your neck. So we'll try that 2 more times. Remember, if you need to take a rest pose, be my guest. So lowering all the way down and adding on just a little bit more. If it's available to you, we're going to take your hands underneath your shoulders and roll your shoulders back and down. See if you can lift your hands off of the mat and keep your arms nice and tight to your sides. So you're really opening across your chest, making your neck nice and long. See if you can lift your chest off of the mat and lower down. Make sure you're still keeping that belly button pulled straight up towards your spine, or you're lifting your abdominals up away from the mat. That's going to help protect your back. So if you wanted to add on to this, you can lift. Place your hands down and just gently press into the mat to lift up as high as you comfortably can. And then lower back and down. Lift your hands as soon as you can. Lower all the way to the mat. Let's try that 2 more times. Lift, gentle press, lengthen up, and lower back and down. 1 more to go. So let's lower it down and we'll give yourself a nice stretch back. So you can sit back onto your heels. If this doesn't work for your knees, you can lay on your back, give your legs a hug, or just stay relaxing down on your belly. And this is an active position, so you're drawing your abdominals in, you're thinking about lengthening. So let's come right back out into that prone position. So from here, we're going to see if you can come up onto your forearms in a sphinx-like pose. You can have your hands flat, or if you want to take one hand in a fist, wrap the other hand around it and kind of push in. You should feel like that almost lifts your abdominals right up and off of the mat. So your goal is to not just kind of be like hanging out here. You want to roll your shoulders back and down and really suck your belly button up into your spine so you lift your low abdominals off of the mat. So the tops of your hips are up and the bottom of your hips down. So the top 2 points of the triangle come up, the bottom point of the triangle stays down. This should feel like work here. So you're really lengthening. You're trying to get that sternum reaching past your hands, your collarbones wide. Your legs are as close together as it feels okay to your hips. So kind of squeeze your glutes a little bit. So you want to wrap through your butt muscles so you keep your glutes tight, your belly button lifted, or your abdominals tucked in. So adding on to this, if it's available, take your right leg, bend your leg, and you're going to do a little tiny kick, kick, and then stretch that leg back out onto the mat. Switch sides, little kick, kick, and reach. Kick, kick, and reach. Kick, kick, and reach. Trying to keep everything that we created getting into this exercise. So don't lose that lengthening through your sternum. Trying to keep your neck nice and long. Keeping your low abdominals off of the mat. Let's do 1 more to each side. And we'll go back to your rest pose. So you sit back towards your heels. Your back is nice and round. So you're really pulling your abdominals in. And you're letting your arms reach away. And do what feels comfortable to your legs here. So you can space your legs out. Sometimes that makes it feel a little bit more comfortable being in this position. It should feel like a nice stretch. So we're going to flip right over onto your back. We're going to start with a little bit of shoulder bridge work. So getting down however you can, and then arms by your sides. So you've got your legs bent, feet flat. You want your feet as close to you as your knees allow, and as close to one another as your hips and your back allow. So if you need a little bit more space, you can bring your feet further away from you or further away from one another. So we're going to just start by seeing if you can rock your hips up like we did in the beginning. So you curl your tail off of the mat, and then see if you can lift a little higher. And if you can, you're lifting your ribs right up onto your shoulder blades. So you get a straight line from your knee to your underarm. And then let's lower that down. So if you can articulate down, lower your ribs first, your waist, and then lengthen your sit bones towards your heels once you land. So you wrap through your glutes, or you use your butt muscles to lift up. So you squeeze, lift, weight of your body in your legs, and then roll back and down. This should feel good to your back. Let's do 3 more. So you want to think the weight of your body is equal through your feet. Your shoulders are wide, shoulder blades long down your back. And you're working both sides of your body, so hamstrings, glutes, and abdominals. So let's lower down here, and we'll give your legs a hug in towards you and take a breath. And turning onto your side for side leg series. So side leg series, you want to line your hip and your shoulder with the back edge of the mat. So you can literally feel behind you. Your hips are on the back edge of the mat, your shoulders on the back edge of the mat, and then hinge your legs forwards. Sometimes if you have bursitis in your hips, it's uncomfortable to lay on your side. So just do a few stretches while we go through these side leg exercises if you feel like you have pain laying on your hip, and take breaks as you need them. So we're going to take your top arm and bring your top arm like a kickstand in front. So think kind of like a dancer's arm. You want to have a nice frame. You can hold your head with your hand. Let your head rest onto your arm. Or if you need to leave your arm in front and put your head on something like a yoga block, a pillow, that book. So we're going to take your top leg and lift your top leg up just an inch. I want your bottom leg as strong as if you were standing on it. So you have a flexed foot and that leg's pushing down into the mat. Your top leg, go ahead and stretch your top leg like you're reaching it longer than the bottom leg. And you fold at the crease of your hip to bring your leg to the front. And then reach, stretch across the front of your hip as you reach your leg back. And then just be careful there isn't anything that you can accidentally kick. So you're going to bring your leg forwards and then bring your leg back. So the whole time you're keeping your abdominals pulled in tight, just like we have been this whole time. Try to keep your leg parallel to the floor. And let's go for 1 more. And we'll stack your legs up one over the other. So let's see if you can press your top leg up and then press your top leg down. Press your top leg up and press your top leg down. So it's not a big motion because you're trying to keep those hips nice and stable. And let's go for 3. And 2. And 1. And then small circles around. So your top leg, little circles, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse that. And let's let your top leg rest in front. So you can leave your knee forwards like this. You can prop it up onto something. Or if it's available, take your hand, wrap it behind your ankle, and place your foot down so your knee is pointing up to the ceiling and the sole of your foot's on the mat. Don't forget about those abdominals and your bottom leg with the flexed foot. We're going to press it up and resist down. Press up, resist down. Trying to work from the top of your leg, so closer, more on like your inner thigh area. And we'll go for 3, 2, and 1. Hold the lift and small circles. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse that. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very good. So let's take your top leg on top of your bottom, and we're going to try to make circles here, so big circles. So you want a tiny little turn to your foot up towards the ceiling as you go forwards and over the top, but your foot goes parallel to the floor as you reach back. So make sure that your hips aren't going all over the place. So you want to be nice and controlled forwards and reach back. So what helps keep you steady is keeping those abdominals tight. And this should feel nice to your hips. So don't force the size of your circle. Do what works for your body. So let's reverse that. Reach to the back, over the top, and to the front. To the back, over the top, and to the front. Reach back and to the front. Try that 2 more times. And last one. Very good. So let's flip over to the other side. So we're going to turn and line your hip and shoulder with the back edge of the mat on the other side. And bring your legs forward. Hi, Roxy. Can you go in your bed? In your bed. Roxy, in your bed. I guess she likes side stairs. Roxy, in your bed. Good girl. Alright, so we're going to do hip and shoulder in line with the back edge of the mat. Legs forwards to the front edge of the mat. And top arm strong and in front. That top leg lifts up. Stretch your top leg longer than the bottom. And then we're going to kick to the front and reach to the back. Kick to the front and reach to the back. So remember your arm position options. That top arm is strong and in front like the dancer's arm. Got that nice straight line. Your hip to your shoulder. Bottom leg is as strong as if you were standing on it. You're folding at the crease of your hip. So let's stack your top leg up over your bottom, and we're going to press up and press down. Press up and press down. Remembering those abdominals. And we'll go for 3 and 2 and 1. Small circles. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Reverse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let your top leg rest in front. You can stay here and put something underneath your knee, or if you can, you're going to take the bottom of your foot down, knee up to the ceiling, and you hold around your ankle. So your bottom leg with the flexed foot, you're going to press up and press down. Press up, press down. Try to work from the top of your leg, so you're working that inner thigh. And then hold the lift in small circles. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we'll take your top leg on top of your bottom, and we'll do big circles here. So let's take your top leg to the front. It's got that little turnout. And then reach around to the back. So we're going to kick to the front and reach around to the back. And I'll do that 2 more times. So you go parallel over the top and to the back. 1 more, turn down, parallel, and go back. Reverse that. So parallel as you reach back, slight turnout as you go front. And if your leg position doesn't really make sense to you, just keep your foot parallel to the floor the whole time. And we'll do that 2 more times. Keep those abs in. Last one. Very good. So let's stack your legs up and see if you can roll onto your belly. So we're going to let your forehead rest onto your hands here and wrap through your glutes. So see if you can lift your legs off of the mat a little bit. We'll hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then press your feet down into the mat. So let's see if we can do that with your upper body. So you're going to lower down. You can bring your hands by your sides, or for a challenge, bring your arms straight up. So see if you can press down with your hands and lift your head and chest. If it's available, float your arms off of the mat. And we're going to hold here 5, 4, belly button to your spine. Good. And then lower down. So this time, we're going to keep your nose pointing down towards the mat. Press your arms and legs into the mat and see if you can lift your head and chest. See if you can keep those hips still. Lift just your left foot off of the mat and just your right arm off of the mat. So it's opposite sides and lower down. So this time we'll lift your right foot and your left arm and lower down. So you want to think the same pattern as walking. Opposite arm, opposite leg, and lower. Now you can stick with this, or if you can hover your arms and legs off of the mat, and opposite arm, opposite leg, and switch. Don't forget about those abdominals. Very good. Lower down and give yourself a nice stretch back. So you sit back towards your heels. It's that active stretch. So coming out to a seated position, we're going to do an exercise called seal. It's a lot like the rolling like a ball that we had done earlier. So you have the option of doing the half roll back. You have the option of just doing hands behind your thighs or by your ankles. Otherwise, you're going to see if you can bring your legs towards you. Your feet are together. Your knees are as wide as your shoulders. Your hands go into a prayer-like position. You dive your hands between your legs, and you're going to wrap your hands around your ankles. So you go between and then around your ankles. So push your arms and legs into one another and see if you can round and look towards your belly button. And then bring your feet towards you, and as best as you can, lift your feet off of the mat. So stay nice and round, and remember, you have other options, so this is a little bit more challenging here. You can stick with just the balance, or adding on. Make sure there's nothing behind you you can rock onto. You're going to do a small rock back, rock up, and see if you can clap your feet. 3, 2, 1. Try that again. Keep that chin in. Rock back, rock up, 3, 2, 1. And you're trying to move your abdominals as best as you can. Try that one more time. Rock back, rock up, and clap. 3, 2, and 1. Very good. And you are done with your beginner mat workout. Thank you so much for joining me. You can view this video as well as others. I have an intermediate Pilates mat workout posted as well. So if you feel like this video is not quite enough for you, or you're ready to move on, give the intermediate mat video a try. And thank you so much for joining me. Let's see. Take a break.